Good morning, class. In previous class, we learnt about the reasons for migration, the economic reasons, the social and cultural reasons, the political reasons, the environmental reasons. Now today, political reasons, and today we are going to learn about the impact of migration and the history of migration. So before we go to that, we will learn about the difference between immigration and emigration. Please be very careful and write important over there. Turn to page number 29. Now let us first see the economic difference. Migrants take up jobs which do not require much educational qualifications, hence fueling the labor market of our country. Emigration, remittances, I told you, are sum of money which is sent by those working outside. Migrants having higher educational qualification prove to be beneficial for a country. Sometimes there is more than required labor available for a single job, thereby putting pressure on the economy. Migrants take up large number of jobs, resulting in lack of jobs for the native resident of the country. The pressure increases on the healthcare services. Now all these I'll go in detail once the school reopens, because I don't know how many of you will be able to studying from taking help of the videos and studying. So we'll take it up once again, or when I have the time. Right now we have to finish the syllabus also, so I'll just touch on them again. Now emigration, there is less pressure on the resources and healthcare. Young, well-educated and trained professionals leave their country. There is shortage of labor force. So this is the economic difference. Now let us see the social difference. First, for immigration. People from different religious and social backgrounds come together, creating a multicultural society. As migrants speak different languages, a multilingual society is formed, bringing diversity. Most of the migrants are male, hence imbalance occurs in the sex ratio. Difference in social background can also lead to disturbances in the society. Then emigration, let us see what are the social implications. Density of population decreases. With mostly young population moving out, the birth rate also decreases. With the remittances received, better infrastructure can be provided. Population composition gets disturbed and migrants are mostly young male. Now the political difference. Discrimination of migrants by the native residents can lead to unrest in the society. If the in-migration increases, government can put ban or control on immigration. Generally, outsiders are not trusted. Then emigrations. Government has to introduce policies to promote natural population growth and also regulate and limit the migration. Sometimes governments also make policies to convince migrants to return. So these were the economic, social and political differences between immigration and emigration. Now let us quickly go through the do you know. The largest migration corridor in the world is Mexico, USA, with 12 million migrants, followed by Ukraine, Russia and Bangladesh in India. If children, if you follow news, or you must have heard your parents discussing, then you must have, that Trump, when he came to power, he ordered the Mexico wall to be built just to stop this migration of the Mexicans into USA. Now, earlier also there was issue about the Rohingyas refugees coming from Bangladesh and settling in India. So these are the major migration issues which are plaguing the humanity as such. Because countries which are already overpopulated, they do not have the resources or the means to support these refugees or these migrants. So therefore, when they are stopped from coming into a particular countries, then there is unrest. Now let us see the history of migration. In the past, a large-scale migration happened in the form of labor transportation due to industrialization and soldiers' deputation due to wars. Now let us first talk about industrialization, which happened where? In Europe. Where? In the 18th century and 19th century. Then followed two major wars, World War I, and when we talk about soldiers' deputation, we talk about World War I and World War II. Now, slave trade was a common feature in the period of colonization. Now, see children, one major reason because of which both World War I and World War II were fought was that European nations wanted to annex territories from Asia and Africa under their flag or in their nation. So there was a rush to rule these countries, and when there were too many people and just a number of territories, so there was bound to be some differences which resulted in war. Now slave trade was one major reason. Now large numbers of people from South Asia and Africa as slaves were exported to by the colonial rulers to the industrialized. I will read it once again. Large numbers of people, it happens that the throat becomes dry. Now large numbers of people from South Asia and Africa as slaves were exported by the colonial rulers to the industrialized countries in Western Europe and North America. Labor migration reached almost 3 million annually during the early 20th century. Another huge migration occurred between 1840 and 1940 from Europe to America and Asia to America as a process of resettlement in the New World. Now this is a very vast topic, children, which I cannot take up right now. So I'll just talk about this migration. Now, when we are talking about slave trade, so I'll quickly touch upon the American Civil War, which lasted from 1861 to 1865. One major reason being that the northern nations, they wanted to abolish slavery. So this civil war, which was fought, now the north and 11 states from the south, because they because the slaves were not given any kind of remittance. They were just fed one meal a day and they were kept in very poor conditions. They had no right, no liberty. So slavery was rampant in the southern states in America, whereas in the northern states they were more industrialized and people over there were not slaves. So this war, American Civil War, was very important in the abolition of slave trade in America. Now let us look at migration due to wars. Also took place as people living in the countries undergoing political unrest and war sought protection from other countries, especially to their neighboring countries. Now again we will talk about Syria when we are talking about this. Now migration, I talked about soldiers' deputation in World War I and World War II. So that was also a reality. Thus, in search of political shelter, large numbers of people migrate from the war-prone countries to other countries. Another distinct form of migration that happened in the recent past with the boost in urbanization was the movement of people from rural areas to urban areas. People in large numbers started moving to the cities with the hope of finding better living standard. At the time of independence, children, around 70% of India was considered to be rural. Now the scales have tipped. Now it is the urban population or urban area which is 70% and the rural has shrunk to 30% or so. These are not these are approximate figures. Okay. Now in the next class we will talk about brain drain, the causes of brain drain and the impacts of brain drain. Meanwhile, I want you to go through the difference between immigration and emigration. What are the three major differences? The economic, social and political between immigration and emigration. Do read about the Mexico Wall and do read about the Rohingya refugees. You should keep in touch with the history and the latest what is happening in and around the world. And please, if you can, if you are interested, then you should also look up the American Civil War and read about it. Till the time, I want you to read again, children, anything which you have not understood. Please note in your textbooks or in your diaries, and we'll discuss it when we meet when the school reopens. Thank you.